What is up, tasties and tastettes? I can never get the framing right, dude. What is up, tasties and tastettes? Welcome back to another episode of FTWGT Weekly. It's your boy Lenny, joined again by that man who will put that brick in your face. And now, what you gonna do with it? My producer extraordinaire, Dante. Dante, how are you?
I'm gonna connect.
Connect Four. You're actually really good at that, surprisingly enough.
Yes.
You have more foresight than I would ever anticipate. The Connect Four goat. And
Holla
if
at
you
me.
could connect four things for us, that is to like, comment, share, and subscribe the podcast for us. Thank you very, very much. The buttons are right down below. Tell a friend, ask a friend.
Wow.
Sharing is caring.
This motherfucker's spitting. King of the segues, as always.
That was pretty fucking good, dude.
Yeah, no, that
This
one.
time, this times I say stuff and I impress myself, and you know that wasn't pre-planned, so I know that's why you were pre.
Yeah, no, that one impressed me. That one impressed me.
And I honestly thought when I said the Connect Four thing that I was gonna have to find four things, but then I just had four things.
Just hit your head like a
Oh,
freestyle.
yeah, shit, dude. I'm a poet and I didn't even know it.
All right.
That's the funniest line ever invented.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
never sound cool saying that line.
No.
It's impossible. Uh, I am like Nostradamus, Dante, though, because are you familiar at all with the Boeing stuff?
um, I've seen like things where like there's like whistleblowers or whatever about like their safety checks.
Yeah, and so we're a couple weeks behind on this, but it didn't really like when I first heard the story, it didn't like click to me that like a month ago we did a whole segment about
About planes being safe.
yeah,
Oh
about
yeah,
planes being on there like
the
fuck
thing with the
shit,
door
dude.
coming off, that was part of this whole Boeing thing.
Yeah, like we were on top of this shit before. We were whistleblowing before the whistleblowers, dude. So we're out here saying Frontier Airlines, Boeing, like there's windows cracking, there's walls blowing out, dude. There's people trying to open emergency exits. There's always some shit on a plane, and we knew it, dude. We knew it.
Yep.
And I just wanted to give us our props for that. You did miss some important parts in the story because, like, the scariest thing about the story, Dante. So you said the right thing. There is a whistleblower. Did you hear the rest of it?
No, I didn't actually look into it.
So you know he's dead, right?
Oh,
Yeah, he's dead.
nah, I missed that part.
So he whistleblows. He's supposed to go back again, like the next day for more questioning. They find him in a Target parking lot, I believe, in South Carolina. I think it's like Charleston, South Carolina, from a quote unquote self inflicted gun wound. They say he killed himself.
Why would he kill himself?
Exactly. Exactly. And apparently I had heard this and I didn't read further into it, but I think I heard this maybe on like the Joe Budden podcast, JBP. That like he had told his family that like if anything happens to me, know that I didn't want to like hurt myself.
Mm.
And I don't know why like it surprises me still at this point, but it's so weird to me like and maybe like I finished Jack Reacher. And, like, Jack Reacher, the second season has so much to do with, like, government conspiracy and, like, shit like that, and, like, it's got, like, politicians involved and how money makes the world work and all that, and, like, you see so
Uh,
much of it, or at least I have growing up on the type of movies that I grew up on that, like, you don't believe that that stuff happens in real life, you know? But
it's
then
because like our only notion of it is the media, and like if the media doesn't report it, then we don't know what's happening. Not for sure,
well,
anyways.
yeah, and it's like one of those scary things where, like, it shouldn't be allowed it shouldn't be able to happen, right? Like, you shouldn't be able and again, we don't know, but, like, I'm very suspect of that this man killed himself at a Walmart or at a Target parking lot, like, a couple days after he decides to out his employer as taking shortcuts, on the quality of their planes to increase profit margins on stuff, right? And that before he could leak anything, like, truly bad like, well, truly, like, substantial to hurting them, they're able to bury it because this guy decides to hurt himself. Like me, and the thing about it is, right? it could be one of two things. Somebody could have done it to him, or he gets pressure put on him with threats to family, things like that,
Yeah.
and he has to do it to himself. It could still be self-inflicted, but there's could be more to happen there. And I'm not like a huge conspiracy guy, but like, if it looks and smells like shit, it probably is just shit, right? Like
Yeah.
it's the scary thing is you shouldn't just be able to have things like that happen, but like there is a part of this world that like we are so beneath. Like where it's such a it's one of those things that puts your life into perspective in terms of like I have nothing like for power in this world whatsoever. Like I'm such an insubstantial like piece of like the process that is the universe that like there are people that are millions of miles above me in terms of like scheme that can make things like this happen and it'll never get reported and they can bury a story like it never happens and this isn't even politics like these are people but they probably have politicians in their pocket, like Boeing is probably making planes or some shit for a lot of or has a lot of important people in their pocket, right?
When you got the amount of money they have, everybody has a price. Like you can make shit happen.
Isn't that also scary that everybody has a price except for Jack Reacher? But like that's terrifying to me that like I don't know, where like I understand why like we're so influenced by money and it's really easy to have the perspective of like how do you let that happen when you don't have any of it, you know?
Yeah.
Although maybe like the people with the least are sometimes the hungriest, but like maybe I do think like weirdly enough, living middle class is like the like happiest way to live just like a normal ass life, not have this like greed built into you, but also not have like this hunger to take for more too. Because if you're just flat
Yeah.
broke, like you'll do anything for money. But if you have too much of it, all you want is more. Is also the scariest. There's like the happy medium is middle class, truly, because once you have enough, it's not enough. Like you're like, I'm
Yeah.
addicted. It's a drug. I want more green.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Money is the root of all evil.
moral of the story, we were ahead of this one by a couple weeks. Go back and check that out. Planes are scary. I'm also on top of one other thing, and like this is going to be a week from now, and I don't want to make jokes about this because it's truly a sad story. Did you see the thing about the bridge today?
Oh, the Baltimore Bridge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that sucks. I don't know if you watched like the video of it.
I did. Yeah, of it collapsing.
Yeah, but even before that, so it looks like the boat loses power and then the power comes back on and the pilot tries to correct the trajectory. Power goes out again. There you can see smoke coming from somewhere on the ship. Power comes back on, but it's too late for him to correct and he hits one of the stanchions holding the bridge and the way it collapses is like utterly terrifying. And I
Yeah.
guess like it's fortunate because apparently it's not fortunate because people have lost their lives most likely, but it's fortunate in the sense that like I guess they're doing work and maintenance on the bridge already. So it was shut down for most traffic. So that's why there wasn't more loss
I
in
see.
it. But I think bridges personally are like one of the scariest things in the world. I fucking hate bridges.
Hmm? The Tobin Bridge.
That one doesn't dude, I was saying this the other day, the Sagamore Bridge, the one to the Cape,
Oh yeah. Okay.
that one freaks me out. There's one to Newport, Rhode Island that scared the shit out of me because it goes like it's like a very high arching bridge.
Mm.
So that freaks me out because you just keep going up and up and up and up. And like, I don't like being on the outside lane of a bridge at all. Like, I don't like being able to look over the side. It
Yeah.
scares the shit out of me because it's like the intrusive thoughts thing, right? It's like, what if I just do swerve to the right here? I said I didn't want to make jokes. Don't laugh. Um,
Jesus
the
Christ.
it is the bridges like I don't as a person who I don't think I'm like I think I've determined that I'm afraid of heights, but I'm more afraid of like I don't know, just like it is the height aspect of it.
But you're more
But it's
afraid of falling.
Yeah, it's like you look at the I can go on a plane and I'm not like gonna freak out for a 3-hour plane ride, right? Like once I'm up there, I'm out there because I'm not looking outside or anything. And I do truly realize that like unless you start hitting crazy turbulence, it's not the scariest thing in the world, you know? Your feet are
Yeah.
still on the ground, weirdly. Um, but like if you go up on a the side of a cliff and like you're looking over the edge, that'll fuck me up far more. And it's like, and it's probably still the intrusive thoughts thing. Like I don't want to jump, but what if? What
Dog.
if this like what if you just stumble a little bit? You ever see like the pictures of the people who are like they go to the like, spot and like because the Grand Canyons like don't like step over this line, like stay back here. And there's always those people that want to go like sit with their legs dangling off and take like a selfie or some shit. And then you
Uh,
find out that they slipped and fell and like one of them fell like 300 feet to their death or something. That's the shit that freaks me out. And like falling to death, the longest 3 seconds of your life.
Depending on the height, could be longer.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder what you, like, I don't know. Like, what do you think about?
What if I
Because I
just
think
held
you
on? What if I stayed away from that edge?
well, that's the worst part. Because I was gonna say, like, I think you want to tell yourself that you would think about like your family or like whatever. But the reality is, you spend the
On the way
last ten
down,
seconds.
I'd just be like, "You fucking idiot."
Yeah, like you spend the last 10 seconds of your life being so mad at yourself and being like,
Yeah.
"What if?" and like reaching in all directions, just hoping you can grab something. Not cool. Not cool.
Nah.
Well, what is cool?
Don't do that.
The return of Bad Boys to the movie theaters. Did you think it's
Oh,
cool?
man.
We got a trailer today for Bad Boys 4. Let's start here really quick. So I was like scrolling TikTok for a minute after this trailer came out, and somebody pointed out that why'd they title the third and the fourth ones the way that they did?
Oh, like, not go numerically?
Well, no, but so they do. I mean, but like the titles, like so it's Bad Boys 1, Bad Boys 2, but then it's Bad Boys for Life, and now the fourth one is Bad Boys Ride or Die.
There's no 4 in there.
But the thing is, what's the saying that this whole franchise is built on?
Bad Boys for Life.
Ride or
For
die.
life.
Ride or die, Bad Boys for Life.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't they name the third one Ride or Die and the fourth one Bad Boys for Life? And instead, they named the third one Bad Boys for Life and the fourth one Ride or Die. They did it reverse. Why'd they do that?
Huh.
That doesn't make sense. It's crazy. It's
Yeah, it's an
pure
oversight.
lunacy. It's like only thing I can think is that they had no idea that they would get another movie and now like or they would just go back and redo it. And I don't know, like uh Mission Impossible was just like this is Final Reckoning, just Final Reckoning. They decided to get change the
Dead
name. Maybe
Reckoning.
we just yeah, whatever. Maybe just change the names. Return all the Blu-rays, change all the screen, all the little thumbnails on the digitals that people bought
Uh,
and just change the name out. Send out new sleeves for the Blu-rays to everybody who
yeah.
bought them. Install it yourself.
Oh, a little
We're changing the
DIY
name to the
action.
third one. Yeah, we're changing the name to the third one. It's ride or die. What do you think of the trailer?
It looks like it's gonna be another one that won't disappoint.
Yeah, it
I mean,
looks like it's staying pretty true to the formula at this point. Like,
for the most
I
part,
don't think
yeah.
it's gonna it and it's just an early trailer, so like we'll see what there's more. The plot doesn't blow me away by any means. I was actually, if anything, I was gonna take away as like critically being disappointed by. I was like, I wish the plot was maybe a little more clever than like our police, our good friend and boss
But
is
at the same time, it
great.
sounds like your cliche early 2000s, late 90s plot, which is what this franchise came from. So, like, I don't hate
Fair,
that.
fair enough. I think that that's true. I think that their chemistry still seems good. It does seem like they are cherry picking a lot from like the second movie, probably. Like you have the scene in the beginning at the convenience store or whatever. That's very much just a scene out of like the drug house in the second movie, right? Like where they're and then that's just a bad boys trope, which is always good
Yeah.
and it's gonna be funny. You have Mike running, like the Will Smith run with like the wife beater and the shirt kind of falling behind
Yeah.
him. Like that's like a very stereotypical shot from these movies. Um, yeah, I nothing revolutionary, I guess would be my biggest takeaway from it, but I am 100% interested and intrigued. It seems like it should be pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so you're a, big Euphoria guy, right?
I mean, I enjoyed the show. Damn, why you gotta paint me as a big Euphoria guy? Not like the number one fan or anything.
You're bigger than I am.
Well, yeah, because I've watched it and you haven't.
Yeah, so, okay, you're a big Euphoria guy by contrast of me.
Sure,
It's all perspective, so, like, you're a much bigger fan than I am.
I'll give you that.
Uh, so Euphoria, I think we had talked about, like, a few weeks ago, like, it's coming back for a 3rd season, but they apparently have pushed back the show.
So
It's
next
on
year, right?
hold. Yeah, and, a couple things about it. I think one of the more interesting things as it relates to the show, and not that I've watched it, but I think a criticism of the show for the first 2 seasons is it's insane, and these kids are in high school, but they're doing, like, heroin and, like, all this shit, right?
Yeah,
Like, it's a little bit, like, crazy for this idea of these kids are in high school, but they're doing, like, extremely hard drugs, and it's just, like, really crazy plot lines, and they're talking about season 3 will probably have a time jump,
oh, okay.
which I think probably helps that aspect of the show, right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, to be honest, I don't know if I'm gonna get myself canceled, but that didn't really bother me that much. You know what I mean? Like at
Well,
the end
no,
of the
but
day, like it's a show, and like we were in high school once. Like, dog, there's drugs, there's sex, like it happens. So what's the problem with the show depicting it with adult actors so they can still do it legally?
for sure. Like I do think that that always has to be put in this perspective. Like maybe I don't know, like uh, heroin not as s- potent in my high school, but like pills were for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe not like
pills were like
yeah,
everything else. And like
yeah. Like we didn't have high school like kids doing fucking meth and heroin or whatever the fuck, like you know what I mean. But like there were definitely like more than just weed. Like there were people that were into the psychedelics or the fucking coke or whatever. Like
in forever, there's just like that's always the way it's been. That like the way that they depict high school in the movies is always like
it's an
way more
exaggeration.
turned
Yeah,
up,
yeah.
yeah, than what it is. Like, even you look at the movie, do you remember the movie 13?
No,
I mean, that movie is like yeah, it's about, like, these 2, like, 13-year-old girls, and, like, it won, like, a bunch of awards back then. I forget who the main actress is right now off the top of my head, I can't remember her name. But, like, she grew to, like, big fame because the movie was so good, but, like, like, that movie, that girl's, like, drinking and smoking and, like, going out with, like, older boys and shit, and she's literally 13 years old, like, it's those things are depicted in Hollywood. I don't know if why we decided with Euphoria to be, like, offended by it, you know?
uh,
That's the weird one.
Evan
You're gonna say
Rachel
her name.
Wood.
Yeah, Evan Rachel Wood. Like, I was like, "You're gonna say her name, and it's gonna be, like, the most obvious thing to me." So, the other interesting thing, and this segues into a couple different, pieces of news for us. So, Time Jump is gonna happen most likely, but because the movie or the TV show is getting pushed back, they're giving all the actors permission to go out and pursue other roles in the meantime. So, instead
Which
of
may
holding them
push it
up
back
waiting
further.
could potentially affect it further, yeah. So a couple of the major actresses from that show that are gonna spin off, the one we talk about the most that I'll just quickly throw in here, Sydney Sweeney, weekly
Yeah.
character on this podcast at this point, the only thing I wanna talk about. I know every week when I'm planning out topics that I have to figure out one way to inject a Sydney Sweeney reference in here.
Yeah.
Um, she is the leading favorite for the next Bond girl.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. Somebody out there,
Huh.
not to name any names, but I was on Hey Archer Live last Thursday. If anybody hasn't watched the VOD yet, go back and check that out. But a certain somebody, not naming names, I was on Hey Archer Live last week, though, just to throw that out there again, has been trying to tell me that Sydney Sweeney might not be a draw in Hollywood. She might not be the draw that I'm like making her out to be. And I'm not saying that this someone, hey, I was on Hey Archer Live a week ago on Thursday. I'm not saying that they have not brought up valid points. But the girl's getting rumored for Bond now, baby. Like
Mm,
she might be a thing, you
mm.
know. She might be an it girl now.
You were just reeling for this "I told you so" moment, huh?
I'm not telling said person I was on Hey Archer Live a week ago on Thursday. I'm not telling this person that they're wrong. I'm just saying
Uh-huh.
she rejuvenated the rom-com world. She's a business genius with using the failure of Madam Web to parlay into other stuff. She's
Mhm.
getting rave reviews as an actress for her horror movie that's out right now. And now she's the leading role, well, possibly she's the leading favorite to land Bond girl. And I think she makes a lot of sense as a Bond girl. So
Mm,
there might be a thing there.
mm.
Go
Okay.
check out that podcast though.
Okay.
Not related. Not related. Just go check out that podcast. Um, the other big news out of this, the other so there's other big stars. I don't forgive me because I don't watch the show. I don't know the star like the cast as well.
Well,
But the two
Sydney
names that
Sweeney and Zendaya.
yeah, so the other person I will talk about is Zendaya. Jacob Elordi's another one from that show.
Yeah.
I don't know any other ones, but Zendaya is confirmed to be returning for Spider-Man 4. Which I think we all kind of expected. I'm torn on the idea because I do wanna see them go with, now the name escapes me, now the name escapes me. What's the other girl that
Kristen Dunst.
Gwen Stacy. I
Oh,
did
okay.
wanna see, like, a Gwen Stacy, like maybe her in the 4th one, and we work our way back to MJ because we had the whole mind wipe thing happen and all that stuff. And I
Yeah.
did read some interesting stuff about Spider-Man 4 that, like, Tom Holland was saying that, um, it's gonna explore a bit more, like, the idea of, like, like, him leaving behind the Peter Parker persona and becoming just fully Spider-Man because he has no attachments to anybody any longer. And since he has no personal attachments, he's just spending most of his time in the suit as Spider-Man, and he's spending less time as Peter Parker, and it's gonna explore that a little bit more.
Hmm.
But Zendaya confirmed to be coming back for the 4th one. I don't know if, you go the whole movie and in the 4th one they have some moment and that's gonna reconnect them, how heavily she's involved. Couple other interesting things about Spider-Man 4 that I found, that interest me a little bit. It's gonna start filming in September or October, and as of right now, there's talks of Justin Lin being the director. Are you familiar with Justin Lin?
No, no. Talk to me about some of his works I might be familiar with.
Some Fast and the Furious movies,
Oh shit, okay. Like the ones I
and,
like?
yeah, well, you like the 3rd one, nobody does, so that's tough.
Oh,
I
nobody.
don't think he did the 3rd one. Look up which ones he did. The 6th and 7th, maybe? He also did the Star Trek 3, maybe?
Star Trek
The
Beyond.
Yeah, yeah, Beyond, yeah. That's the 3rd one.
Sorry, I'm going through his IMDb in chronological order, so I got 10 and 9 that he did.
Okay, so he was the later one, so not the ones 10 was good, but anything else on there that you wanna shout out?
Uh oh, he also did Fast 5.
There we go. I knew he did one of the middle ones.
And then I'm not seeing anything else that I recognize, anyways.
He's a very talented individual. I think he understands action very well. I don't know if I trust him to make a Spider-Man movie, especially with the nuance that I think we've been able to get from, like, the depth of character and everything, but he does know how to film action very well, so I think that, that excites me for the scale of action in the Spider-Man 4 movie would have, but I'll wait to, like, reserve judgment on the character development. I'm,
It,
coughing up a
he's
storm.
actually done a lot of them. 'Cause it
A
looks
lot
like
of
he,
fast.
yeah. Because so far I've seen basically anything from Tokyo Drift to Fast Six, and then 9 and 10.
So he had his fingerprints all over it.
Yeah.
He did the one you love. You love. I said lock because I wasn't sure how if you love it or like it.
I lucked it.
So does
Hmm.
that now that you know this, does that get you at all? Does it get you a little chubby? Like how do you feel?
Um. Yeah. I mean, I guess I like his work apparently. So
Are you engorged by him?
no, I would never use that to describe how I feel about a man.
No.
No. No. This, I don't know what you paused for. Like I was going to change my mind. No.
I think there's potential there, for you and him and for him in the Spider-Man series.
Maybe for you. It just sounds
Uh,
like we're going to be including maybe a little bit more explosions.
yeah, I'm with that. Do you think they'll have a car chase scene? Can Peter Parker drive? We've
Nope.
never seen him behind the wheel of a car.
Nope.
Maybe we'll get a bike chase.
Talking like bicycle or motorbike?
Yes. No, like bicycle. Have you ever looked up the cost of this is a complete segue like I would normally do. This has nothing to do with anything. Have you ever looked up the cost of a motorcycle GPS?
No.
I did yesterday. $400.
Why?
No idea. I couldn't figure it out. I was like, just get a normal one.
Yeah, what's special about a motorcycle GPS?
So the only thing I can tell you is that like it was able to be turned portrait instead of landscape.
Guess what else is able to be turned portrait?
A regular GPS?
Your phone.
Well, yeah, I'm with you on that. Like, I don't know why there was a language barrier, so I couldn't ask why they needed a motorcycle one. But
Uh,
you know how like there's like those people that are like just fucking weird about using their phone for GPS,
yeah, it's a weird thing, but yeah,
and you just ask them like 12 different times. You're like, hey, like
you have a phone, right?
your phone is like they're blown away by why GPSs are so expensive, and it's like, well, dude, like it has to do all these things and it doesn't have a cell phone connection and you just have a cell phone that you already pay $1,000 for. So why don't just you have that do it because you already bought a GPS. Think
Essentially,
about it this way: when you tell me that your phone costs too much, look at the cost of your GPS and now consider that when you're buying your cell phone.
does your phone cost too much if it's a phone, a computer, a GPS?
A
Fucking
camera,
yeah.
TikTok machine. Um, it can do fortune cookies if you need to. It can roll dice. It can be a fake lighter. You can open up a beer bottle. Uh,
And now with
not
AI, it can be your friend.
it can show you the way your room can be laid out if you buy furniture from IKEA.
Amazon does that too.
Yeah. Yeah, try these pants on without buying them.
Yeah. See what this new desk looks like in your room.
That's always one of the most mind-blowing things when people are like, "Oh my god, that's that expensive?" I'm like, "Well, dude, like it's a whole fucking Swiss Army knife of shit that's just in your pocket at all times."
Oh well, I'm
If
not gonna use any of that.
That's up to you, man. Yeah, it's like, well, that's up to you. Buy the fucking $100 shitty phone and
Uh,
then come back and complain in a month when you're like, it's so slow. And when I try to look up my web pages, it's like, it takes forever. And it's like, well, yeah, you bought $100 phone. You didn't,
uh,
it's the same thing I would tell you if you bought a $250 computer. It's not a good decision.
uh.
Yeah. Justin Lin, is gonna, continue to add to the iPhone that is Spider-Man 4.
I didn't like that one, but okay.
It didn't work. Didn't
Nah, it
work. I
didn't
was
land.
workshopping. I was
I know it
workshopping
sounded
as I
really good
said
in
it.
your head, but
It didn't.
no.
It didn't. I was trying to figure it out. I didn't get there. I didn't get there. I swung and I missed. It happens. Like, can't hit 100%. I don't do the Connect Four thing through the whole episode. I burned it all the first 3 minutes.
That was like first 15 seconds, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I gave myself too much credit. Um,
It didn't last as long as you thought.
I came quick. Last bit of news: Jurassic World. Jurassic World has been rumored to be getting a reboot. Some people have left and come back. As far as like the writers and directors, producers, um, but they look to have their eyes set on a lead actress for
Hmm.
the new Jurassic World franchise. Or see, this is the thing I'm confused on. Is it in the same universe? It's got to be the same universe as the Jurassic World that we've been watching,
Well, it's
just
the
like a
same
new.
team, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
but I don't think that I'm not getting the vibe that you're getting Chris Pratt back, Bryce Dallas Howard, like any of those characters. I think you're going to get a new set of characters within that world. And the lead actress that they have attached at this moment that they look like they have their eyes on is Scarlett Johansson.
All right.
ScarJo. How do we feel?
She's always been attractive on the screen.
I wasn't looking for a looks thing. I know it's easy for us to always go that direction. Um, I think that I have faith because of the fact that she has mostly done larger scale movies for quite some time now. Obviously,
What has she
Marvel
done
being the
recently,
first
though?
thing. I mean, she kind of stepped away after Marvel. I feel like it hasn't done a ton.
Yeah. Okay.
But even prior to that, she was doing action movies.
Yeah.
The only one that's popping in my mind now is Lucy, but there's other ones, and
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 that
to
one wasn't
varying
great, so
yeah, I was gonna say to varying success. Like, I'm not saying that all the movies that she has done outside of Marvel have been successful, but it is a genre or a lane that she is obviously familiar with at this point, and it makes sense for her to pivot into a role like this potentially. Um, I think the real problem being isn't her, it's fatigue on the Jurassic franchise. I mean, with the quality decrease from the 4th down to the 6th, and although I think the 6th made a ton of money still, if I'm not incorrect on that. So, can you look up, Jurassic Park, like, the all 6 movies, like, the box office, and just tell me, like, can you rank them out for me as far as revenue? Uh, but I know at least for me as a fan, the 6th one put me in a negative space. Like, I just didn't enjoy it. I think that it had ran its course. I thought there was potential for some really cool ideas with now dinosaurs being a part of people's everyday life and being just in the real world. I thought that there was some interesting things they could do with that. And visually, there are still moments where it's super enjoyable, but the story that they fleshed out around it was not very good. So it left me in kind of a salty spot. So I'm a little hesitant to be excited for a new one to be coming out. We able to track that down?
sorry, it's loading now. First one didn't give me results. Um, so it looks like their highest grossing one is the 2015 release of Jurassic World.
The 4th one, the one that came back.
Okay. And then after that we have the 2018 one. So the 2015 one uh was the most successful with an opening weekend of 208.
Pretty fucking good.
Yeah. And then the one after that was 2018 at 148, and then the most recent one, Dominion, at 145.
Sorry, how much did the second one have?
148.
So it's almost identical to the third one.
Yeah.
So we saw a drop off in both 2 and 3 from the first one. In neither one, I think the first half of Fallen Kingdom, the second movie, is good, and it looked like it was gonna be interesting, and when you watch the trailer for the second one, it was like, "Oh, is this gonna be kinda like a horror movie on the back half?" Like, with like, they're in a big, huge mansion, and, like, there's dinosaurs and velociraptors, all that shit, but, like, it just kind of falls apart with some weird themes in the end. And then the third one, yeah, it's just mostly unenjoyable to me. The problem is maybe like you do it focuses almost too much on the human side of it as opposed to focusing on the dinosaur aspect of it, you know?
Yeah.
Like the second and third one turns into like auctions for dinosaurs and cloning and like all this like other shit, you know? As opposed and it is a thing of like I get why they would go this direction because what we talked about at the beginning of the podcast. The world is built upon money and in the world's built upon greed. And once people start seeing the technology that was available, they start trying to find ways to make money off of it, whether it's to weaponize it or use it for this, that, or the other, right?
Yeah.
Um, it's, but I just don't know that like it lived up because the first and second ones, like Spielberg didn't make them like that, you know, like they were very much about the dinosaurs, and though it was the animals were, I mean, the people were a side part to that for the most part, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the whole franchise is about cloning in a way because like that's how they bring dinosaurs back, but it progresses into like human cloning and stuff in the later movies. So
Okay.
we'll see if it's able to return to form. I hope it is. It would be nice. Um, but I don't I'll wait till I see a trailer and we get more information. Dante,
Yes.
do you have it?
Do, do you have it?
Taste.
Taste.
Did I get it again? Was I close?
Very close.
Okay. I was like maybe I was like a shade too early.
Yeah. Blew
Maybe we
you
should
load
get a
early
sound.
again.
Maybe we get a soundboard of us both saying it, and we just hit
So I can
that.
just hit that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Did you know that we have block your eardrums, everybody? Did you
No,
hear
you
that?
did. Why did you do that? Oh my god.
The taste test.
Why?
I learned that we have that.
Yes.
I didn't know.
Um, kind of upset you discovered that.
Because yeah, I will be using that at some points going forward.
Okay.
I hope
Um,
that wasn't like disturbing to anybody out there. Hope you didn't crash your car. The
I didn't
foghorn.
realize because we are recording this through Discord that it also was gonna pop up the icon in front of your face every time you hit it.
Oh, did it? Did it?
Yeah.
Oh, that
So
makes me
like you
want to
did
do
the
it
air
again.
horn
Hold
and
on.
it showed like a speaker, and then like when you did the drums, it showed drums. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're a soundboard podcast now.
Okay.
It's what it's been missing. That's the element that we've been missing is soundboard clips. So, yeah, here we are.
All right.
I'm gonna
All right.
add that to my. We're gonna have to add that to the stream deck.
Yep. I'll get that set up for us.
Okay, so let's jump into the taste test. Like, how much do you got?
So I have exactly 3 things, all of which I watched yesterday.
I have
Um,
5.
okay. I went to the movies and did three back to back.
Really? Okay. Shit. You like that? I thought I was starting to catch up because you haven't been going. Fuck.
I didn't like
All
that you
right.
were catching up, and that's where I dedicated that time.
I was gonna go today, but like I was up till like 3 playing video games, and then I watched TV till like 6 a.m. So I didn't wake up till like 2 p.m. today.
Damn.
Because I was originally gonna go see Immaculate at like 1 o'clock this afternoon, and I just didn't
Yeah.
make it.
It
All
was
right,
just
so let's see.
crazy how it lined up for me. Like literally, like I looked up the show times and the run times, figured out the 3 movies I wanted to see, and then I got them to all line up perfectly. Like literally walked out of one to like maybe the last preview of the next one, or like right at the beginning of the next one.
So let's see. Do we have any overlap with what we've seen? Because I did also go to the movies. As I said again, I was on Hey
So
Archer Live last
we do.
week, and Yeah, and we talked about we did a no spoiler review of Ghostbusters Frozen
Empire.
Empire.
Yeah.
Yeah, on Hey Archer. Go check that out. Like Steve's a huge Ghostbusters fan. It's really interesting conversation. It is no spoilers, so if you want to hear people's thoughts on it without giving up plot points, go check that out. We do that a little bit differently here. Also, you're going to be seeing this over a week since the movie came out, so we can be a little bit more liberal with the stuff that we talk about. So I'm ready to go full spoilers if you'd like to go full spoilers on this.
Yeah.
You haven't seen me talk about this at all yet, right?
No.
Okay. Um, what was your opinion?
It was very mid. I just I I think I maybe had a little bit too high of an expectation on it. I remember saying for weeks, maybe even months, that like the trailer looked really good. And so I think I was expecting more from it, and like when I went into it, like again, broken record, like we always talk about like a movie making you feel something, and I mostly just sat there and was like, okay.
What time did you see it?
That was the middle movie I watched, so it was around 6.
What was the turnout like in your theater?
I mean, you're talking about a Monday evening. Like, it's not ever really going to be that big unless it's like a screen unseen thing. But I think there were maybe me and like 6 other people in there.
Okay, because we saw it um opening night Thursday at like 5 p.m.
Okay.
and it was decent turnout. The movie did well. The movie made it was expected to make around 45 million and it made that money, which I'm shocked by. I did not think it was going to come close to sniffing that much revenue. So props to them. They made a good opening week out of that movie, and I think like
I
part of
think
it
just
is like
based on nostalgic value, like people were going to go see it anyways. But
I don't know what the nostalgic value is for it though, because like the last movie didn't do gangbusters numbers. I think some of it's the kid
but
aspect of it.
wasn't this one of the first ones where you get like big returns from the original cast though?
No, they were in Afterlife.
Oh, they were. Okay.
Pretty sure they were. Yeah.
That might be another thing. So like I don't know if it was to my detriment that I haven't really seen the other Ghostbusters movies. And like the original ones from like the 80s or early 90s or whatever, like I've seen at some point, but I don't really remember them.
See, I don't know if it's at our too, because I'm in a similar boat. And this is what me and Steve talked about a bit. Like um, he's been growing in fandom a lot over the past like year and a half or so, and is like fallen in love with the franchise again. And he was talking about like a lot of the stuff being kind of retreads of like the second movie in this. And I don't know if it's a good thing because we have fresh eyes on it. I will say this, I am in mostly the same boat. I didn't really like it that much.
I think
I
another large part of it too was like this is a movie that seemed to want to build itself up on like some sort of comedic value, and I feel like most of the comedy was a miss too.
Yeah, I don't think it was like particularly that funny. I thought Camille Namjani was probably the standout aspect of the movie. As far as comedy is concerned, I thought Bill Murray for the short bit that he was in it was pretty funny as well. I
Okay.
enjoyed him, but it's such like a fraction of time within the movie. I think one of the things that bothered me the most is it's an hour and 40 minutes, an hour and 45 minutes long, and I don't think you had anything like you didn't get into like the actual story until almost an hour over the movie. Like you spend the first hour of the movie just like
Bullshitting.
bullshitting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's a lot of nothing. There's a lot to me. There's plots that are set up that don't really pay off at all. Like I brought this up to Steve with that. Like we didn't get further into it, obviously, because it would spoil parts of the movie. But I thought the mayor plot line was like pretty silly.
Yeah, it was
Um,
weak.
in that like, hey, I'm gonna ban you from being Ghostbusters any longer. You destroy the city, yada yada yada. Um, but then the second they get banned, there is no consequence to that ban. They're literally in the next scene, they just go
They
in to the
break in.
Ghostbusters and they're doing all the stuff that they were already doing. Like there was literally no consequence to that plot line. Like, why is that a plot line in the movie? It went nowhere. And then you wonder if some of it's because it is an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes long, like which in today's standards isn't that long of a movie. And I'm not asking for this to be longer. I think I would have hated it more if it was
No.
2 hours and 20 minutes or something. Because then it's like, dude, like you don't have enough here to be that long. But I wonder if that's a storyline that got cut down a bit and shaved down a little bit. I also think that uh you have like pretty established actors that are
Yeah.
not used. Like Finn Wolfgard, and Paul Rudd are such like secondary characters to this movie. And you use the girl who I'm fine with, like the female protagonist, and I guess she was like a major, like the major part of the Afterlife movie. And from what Steve told me, a criticism of that movie was that it was too focused on her and they didn't give the other characters enough. And I felt like again in this movie, like what was the point? And why? How is Finn Wolfgard your like
So
he
like
does the It franchise, he does Stranger Things, and he's barely a thing to do in this movie.
so I mean, you're saying like it was too much focus on her. I feel like they were splitting the focus on all the characters way too much to where there wasn't really a focus.
So what was the focus on him though? Like they have the one little established storyline at the beginning, and Steve pointed
I
out a
guess
great
I
thing.
guess focus isn't the right word, but I'm just saying like I don't feel like I could have given you a definitive main character.
She was. I think it's dude, she has the most screen time. She has the
No.
most developed story. She is she's too young, wants to be involved with the Ghostbusters. She's not able to. She feels like she's now outcasted kind of from the family and like the business that they're doing. And she's off on her own. She gets to meet the girl and has this weird little lesbian like love relationship thing that didn't like make a ton of sense to the plot of the movie. And I want to get into the ending in a second, but like, what was his story? His story is, I'm 18 and doing nothing with my life, and then we're not going to follow up with that, except for a little joke with Camille Nanjiani about how their characters have some similarities. And at the end of the movie, there's three scenes that they basically build his whole story out of. The beginning in the car when they're talking about him not having anything to do, a scene in the middle where they make one little comment, and then at the end where they're like, here's the keys, you can drive the car, that makes you feel like an adult. Like that's literally his story arc for the whole movie. There's
Yeah.
nothing else that he was needed for in that. I appreciate at least a little bit more with the Paul Rudd thing because he's like the stepdad who is trying to figure out his role within the family with the kids and how to communicate with them. I think that that was a little bit more well developed, but I think that like her being the only sole focus as far as actual storyline, and the reality is the mayor wasn't wrong. And I think that's my other gripe with the movie. The mayor wasn't wrong. The
What do you mean?
Ghostbusters, the Ghostbusters are the bad guys.
How are they the bad guys?
Who's the whole thing that they're trying to stop is the thing that they released.
Well, yeah, but before that, leading up to that, you can't put at fault to them all the other ghosts.
Fair enough, but the final straw in all this and him having to admit that he's wrong at the end, literally, she's the one who invites a ghost into their lair. She's the one who has this relationship with a fucking ghost that then releases all of these other ghosts out into the world that freezes New York City. Like she is literally the crux of all of the bad that happens in the movie is her. Without her, that movie doesn't exist. Like without her doing some of the things that she did, like she brought the ghost back to their secret lair and removes herself from their body and sets forth all of the actions that happen. That's her being careless. And that's part of the reason that he gets rid of him. A child shouldn't be involved in this. Like his reasoning was more like labor laws and shit that doesn't matter. But at the crux of it, his reasoning was that she can't fucking handle it. And she's the reason why all of this happens because she can't handle it because she's a child.
Fair.
Like I think that that's like a major. I'm like they weren't good guys. Like they saved the day, yes, and this is what happens a lot with superhero movies and everything. A million different action movies about cops in general, right? The Bad Boys franchise, for instance, it's like a lot of the times they're causing more damage than the bad guys are, you know, or just as responsible for it. I think it's like it's a major crux of the movie is like getting rid of the Ghostbusters, even though it's not fleshed out enough, it is like a pretty big plot point to the whole thing. And at the end of the day, like if they weren't there, those ghosts don't get released. So maybe they shouldn't be there.
Yeah. I mean, at least for that one ghost in question, for that one instance, yeah, sure. But
Not to mention like the entirety of the trailer that you get that got us interested in it, right?
yeah,
Uh isn't like none of that happens until the last 20 minutes of the movie. And then we
yes.
speed through it.
Yeah.
We basically speed through the trailer with some additional scenes to get through the through the plot that was built out for us prior to seeing the movie.
I mean, the other thing too is like this also felt like Aquaman, where it's like you build up to this big bad, and then you get a very fast and anticlimactic ending to him.
On top of the fact that the logic in that last fight, right? Like, so she figures out how to upgrade their little like Ghostbuster kit there, right?
Yeah.
And they she doesn't share that with anybody else. Like there was plenty left over in that vat of like nickel or whatever that she
Brass,
uses
but yeah.
brass, yeah, like that she uses to coat her thing to make it less susceptible to his like freezing or whatever.
Yeah.
Like she could have dipped all of their coils in that.
Yeah.
She didn't share that information. One thing Steve did bring up about the ghost girl, and when I was bringing up my gripe with the Finn storyline in it, he was saying how wouldn't it make more sense for him to have the gripe with like not feeling like he's growing up and going off and like kind of doing his own thing with the way the story was laid out, and that he's the one who meets the girl and like feels like he has somebody who like sees him and and like kind of goes through the relationship that way, and like he's the one to maybe cause a lot of that stuff to happen. And I tend to agree with him that like I think that it would have maybe made more sense for him to be that character as opposed to her.
Sure. I think it works either way.
Yeah. I just don't think it worked, I think is my issue.
Or
Like
yeah, I guess no, I'm sorry. I think it plays out the same either way. Is more what I meant to
yeah.
say.
Yeah. So yeah, I did not come in very high on this. I don't hate it as much as I sound. I think to your point, like it's very mid. I consider it kind of a nothing burger, like of a movie. Like it's not something that I have this desire to ever really see again. I've seen worse things this year. I think at the end of this year, it's going to be just very middle of the pack. It happened.
Yeah.
So I gave it 2.5 stars. And the more I talk about it, I think I'm going to end up dropping it to 2 stars.
So I was in a similar boat because I also gave it 2.5 stars, and I was bouncing between 2 and 2.5. And the thing is, I have Madam Web at 2.5, and now I'm wondering if that needs to drop too.
Well, so
But
Madam
then,
Web for me is at 2 stars already.
okay,
I already have Madam Web because Madam Web, whether I found it enjoyable or not, is a below average film. And if 2.5 is average, like it is under that.
fair.
So it's 2 stars. I think the bigger conversation that I was having for myself is, do I think, because I have Ghostbusters and Lisa Frankenstein next to each other right now in terms of ranking. And I think that that's more of a conversation for me, is the creativity and bit more humor that you get out of Lisa Frankenstein better than this movie. And I think that that's something that'll have to be a decision that gets made at some point. But for right now, I have Ghostbusters at 2.5 stars, and I have it at sixth for the year.
Okay.
So dead center.
Did you have what, 12?
No, it's not dead center technically because I have 10, but
Ah.
basically dead center.
All right.
Okay. What else have you seen? What else did you see?
I. Huh. Sorry. Uno momento. I watched the Mark Wahlberg movie, Arthur the King.
Okay, yeah, I was contemplating if I wanted to go to it or not. What'd you think?
I
A feel
recommend
good
it.
movie?
I
Yeah,
recommend
feel
it.
good movie.
So like from the trailer, I was like, okay, this could really go either way, but ultimately I do want to go see it. And so I think my expectations might not have been that high on it, but I think that lent itself to me really being able to enjoy the movie, where I wasn't expecting more from it than it was. Um it's a really good feel good movie, uplifting, inspiring, all that. You get some tears. uh but yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah, I don't know about like where my expectations are on it because I think I know exactly what that movie is, you know.
Yeah.
It's not a completely new plot idea.
No,
And
but I mean
because of that,
it's pretty
that's not
well written.
critical. Yeah, that's not me being critical. I'm not saying that in a bad way.
Yeah.
I think that there was just going to be, it's not going to be a movie that's the best movie of the year, but I think it's going to be an enjoyable watch. And to your point, it's going to be a happy movie with some uplifting moments, but there's going to be some challenging times within it. I think, you know, you see enough sports movies and everything else like
It's
that.
a
And like,
super predictable movie, but even like going through it and like having that sense of like I know what's about to happen or okay, cool, I can tell what the next scene's going to be. You still enjoy watching it and watching how it plays out.
yeah. Okay. So it is a recommend for you.
Yeah.
Where do you drop that in your ranking?
All right, cuz that was movie theater. Right now that's fourth on my list at 3.5 stars.
Okay. All right.
So
Uh,
it's right ahead of Anyone But You and right behind Origin.
it's ahead of Origin.
Behind Origin, ahead of Anyone
Okay.
But You.
And did you so like do you have anything else to add on Arthur the Great?
Arthur the King.
Sure.
um, I mean, I don't want to like lay out the whole thing and spoil it and whatnot. Like, I know it's based on a true story, and if you know the story, then I guess whatever you already know. But I'd say just watch it. Like, I mean, like Mark Wahlberg is being Mark Wahlberg, but I think he still does really good in this.
Yeah.
The supporting actors around him are also really good. Um, the dog probably the best actor in the fucking movie.
You know, the thing about like Mark Wahlberg being Mark Wahlberg, I think that that's not an insult. I think that's like a
No, no, no.
he
I didn't
kind
mean
of
it
knows
as an
his
insult, but it's just
yeah.
it it starts to feel like okay, like how much of this is really acting as much as you just being yourself.
Yeah, no, he just learns lines and he kind of just plays the guy
Yeah,
most of the time, you know. He's done this for a long time and like he kind of has his niche and he knows what movies work for his style and
yeah,
that's why he does a movie like this, you know. He
yeah. No,
sprinkles in these based on a true story things once every like 3 or 4 years I feel like and kind of just makes it work, you know.
yeah,
It's a safe formula that he's found for himself. Um so you went yesterday, right?
yeah.
Does that mean your 3rd movie is the AMC Screen Unseen?
It almost was. It
So you
actually
okay, so you didn't go.
my third movie was Arthur the King.
Got it, okay.
So that was the last thing I saw at the end of the night. And basically that was playing at I think 6:40, and the screen and scene was at 7. And right before I made the decision, I went on Reddit to see what it was or what they were predicting it was going to be because I didn't know at the time, and it was some spider horror movie, and I was like, I'm not interested.
Spider horror movie, I've not even heard of it.
Yeah, I don't know the name of it, so that's not the name of it. I forget what the name of it was.
Okay. So then what was the 3rd movie you saw?
Immaculate.
Oh, you did go and see it.
Yeah,
Alright, is it worth me going to see it?
if you want to.
Okay. Is she good?
Um, for most of the movie, she's pretty meh. I don't know. I just like basically in all like the like calmer like dialogue scenes or whatever, like she's very plain, very blank, and like I just don't know if I can really say it did a ton for her acting in those parts of the movie. But I guess the best part of this movie, similar to Ghostbusters, is the last 20 minutes. That's where everything happens. And like
It's only
for
an hour and a half long, which is, like, one of the more appealing parts, it's not
yeah,
offensive long.
and this movie has no reason to be offensively long.
Yeah.
Um it's a weird movie, but like I'll say she was really good for the last 20 minutes as far as like her acting goes. I just
Yeah.
don't think the story and like, the whole like plot twist and all that stuff really did much for me. There's a lot of plot holes to it.
I think that like it's not a genre of movie I enjoy that much,
No.
and I don't think if she wasn't in it that I would have any interest in going out of my way
And I think I
to see
realized
it.
that is like I only went to see it because she's in it.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what like I don't know. I say this a lot, in like for TV shows and for movies. A lot of the times, like movies that I end up watching are because I there's an actor that stands out to me in it that I want to see more than it can necessarily be the story or the plot or the action to the movie. It's the attachment to the star, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like we said, like the reason for wanting to go see this is seeing Sydney Sweeney not playing the girl next door,
Yeah.
and just seeing how she can expand beyond that. And like, I guess she did okay, um, but maybe she's still building. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's a good, she's made some good moves as far as not typecasting herself into the rom-com world, for instance. Like, it's like, "Hey, I
Yeah.
did the rom-com. It was really successful. I threw my hat into the action, like, superhero genre a little bit with a bad choice, but, like, with did the genre. I did a horror movie. I know she has some, like, drama and suspense movies that she's done, that are out on streaming. There's one I can't remember, Voyeur, I think is the name that I wanna check out
Okay.
that's out on, like, maybe Hulu or something. That sounds kind of interesting. Yeah, I think she's just kind of dabbling in a lot of different areas right now, and finding, and if they don't work, at the end of the day, the rom-com world will be successful for her to fall back on. But I think it's not a bad thing to throw your name into a lot of different genres, especially when you're still young in your career.
Yeah. By the way, the screening scene for yesterday was Sting. That was the name of it. If
Never
you
even
care
heard of
at
it.
all.
No, it's fine. I was like partially like, "Ah, I wish I could have made that happen because I haven't gone to the past like two.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like the quality of movie hasn't been quite as good, I feel like.
Yeah.
Okay, so Immaculate, where'd you drop it for your ranking?
Uh, Not high at all. Where was it? It is 12th on my list out of 14.
Okay, so pretty low.
Yeah, right behind Night Swim, I have it at 2 stars.
Behind Night Swim. Okay. That makes sense probably for the pacing and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I just think Night Swim was still more enjoyable of a movie.
Yeah, there's
But as
probably
far
more that's
as
happened throughout it, right?
yeah, exactly. Whereas like this is largely nothing for the first hour. And for a movie that's only an hour and a half, like I feel like it could have paced itself a little better. It was almost like it was setting up to be a long movie, and then when they were filming, the last half of like the second to last act and the last act, they were just like, "All right, let's speed it up."
Just burn through it.
Yeah.
All right. So we've already touched on Ghostbusters for my list. I already said that like I finished Jack Reacher. It was awesome. Not much more to say about that one there for me. Let's get into the obvious. So, episode 5, The Ones Who Live, another fantastic episode. The One of the best shows I've seen in a long time. Up there with like The Last of Us and like stuff like that. So, just a fantastically made series that's paying off. Each and every episode could be the best episode of the show, like of not this show, but of like the entity that is The Walking Dead. And we're coming up on the season finale next Sunday. So really excited about that. Potentially series finale because they still haven't announced season two. But in all likelihood, just seeing where the story's at now, I've got to imagine it's just the last episode of this season. We had the return of a OG character, like not an OG, but like a character that's been in The Walking Dead for a long time returned. Uh, we had some major character plot progression and like building upon the story with some really good action, some new forms of walkers that we haven't seen before. Not like superhuman or anything, but because of where they are, and I believe it's Wyoming, there's like hot springs. And the hot springs, because of the way the oxygen and the water hit each other, have caused the skin of the walkers to like harden. so they weren't as easy to kill, which was kind of cool to see. Like them still trying to find ways to put spins and evolve, like what happens to you after you turn, and like that was kind of cool. But yeah, overall, like still a we're just building and building. Each episode is better than the last, and like, and it's also not just that; it's that each episode's kind of had its own identity, I think has been really cool. You
Mm.
know, episode 4 was very, very heavy in dialogue, in like these amazingly tense, like payoffs of the relationship between Rick and Michonne, and like, you know, building upon their characters today, but also talking about their history and like these things that you haven't that you wanted to see them talk about, and like this great payoff in that episode. This episode was a lot more, you know, action forefront, and progressing to what we're going to get in the season finale, which should be awesome. So still a must watch. Like if you're at all a fan and you haven't gotten into it yet, like hop on. 5 episodes out now, you won't be disappointed. I think even at this point you're going to get more value out of it if you are a fan already, because it's paying off so much stuff that like we've had years to invest into. But even if you aren't a fan, I think because of the quality of production on the show, you'll still appreciate it regardless. So it's really good. Um Next up, Roadhouse came out this
Mm.
past week on Amazon Prime. Jake Gyllenhaal, Conor McGregor. Been a lot of hype about this quality. There was a lot of controversy about it not getting a theatrical release. Um, as to be somewhat expected, I do think that that whole controversy was more a way to boost the profile of the movie than it was to speak to the quality that we ended up getting. And I think I'm in a tough spot because I came on here a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, and was like, dude, I watched Roadhouse the other night, like the original one, and it's one of the greatest movies like ever. Like this is not that. This has a lot of the
Mm.
same themes. It's not terrible, I would say, but like there is something about the original that this just didn't hit for me. Um, didn't have it in the same way. And I don't know if it's that like the first one is cheesy, and like to a point I think it knows it's cheesy, but at the same time like Patrick Swayze doesn't know that it's cheesy, and like it all kind of like works into this like perfect thing where he's so committed but the movie around him is so outrageous. This one, like Jake Gyllenhaal's good. He's pretty funny in it. I thought had some good one-liners. Conor McGregor, I think for his first acting role, he he's very good, and the action that he puts forth is very hard hitting, and the fight sequences are good. Um, but I don't think that it had the same level of like it wasn't trying to take itself seriously. So I don't know how I exactly want to put it, but it's like it felt like it wanted that theatrical release a little bit more. Like it felt
Mm.
like it it's the way it happens, you know, you do a remake or a reboot and it loses some of like what made the original as good as it was. And yeah, I think that like that's kind of the thing there. I still would tell people to watch it. Like it's an okay action movie. The one thing I do that does disappoint me, one of the coolest scenes ever in the first movie is the dude getting his throat ripped out, and just like spoilers, like we don't get a throat ripping out scene in this movie, and I was just sure we would end up getting that at some point.
Jesus
Um,
Christ.
so that was a bummer. Uh, but yeah, like I don't know. It's fine. It's a Amazon Prime movie. You already have the streaming service, so I would just say watch it. If it was in the theater, I think I'd be a lot harsher on my criticisms of it. But I didn't like I watched it, you know, it wasn't like I was distracted. It's not like I was like looking for when it was going to be over. It was perfectly fine, and I got through it and whatever, you know.
Hmm.
Uh, but I would tell you this: if you haven't seen the original, do one of two things: just watch the original, or if you're going to watch the one that's out now, do yourself a favor and watch the original, because you'll see what I'm talking about. Like you'll forever, if you have an option to put on the original or put this on, you're always going to put the original on. There isn't a competition in that regard. My last thing for movies that I watched, or TV, this is TV, and this goes in the bucket of Lenny watches a lot of suspect shit.
Oh no.
Yeah. Yeah, I've moved on to a new like why you watching this dude series. And I can tell you why I'm watching it.
Is this one
Uh
I would be interested in watching?
I think you'd watch it. I don't know if like you're interested or have any immediate interest in watching it. Um, so I'm watching Pretty Little Liars. Now, here's the crazy thing. You know how earlier
That's
I was
that's
like,
the one about the girls that like killed somebody, right?
it's not confirmed if they killed somebody or not. But yeah, like so basically there's a group of 5 girls and the show starts with the summer after death of one of their friends happens. And they have not really spoken over the past year, and they come back to school, and they start getting text messages from an anonymous like number that keeps like signing off A, which the girl's name was Allison, who dies, and it's like secrets that only she would have known, and basically starts tormenting them. And they're trying to figure out who that person is, while also trying to figure out who the killer is. Be in like, yeah, it's here's the thing. It's like it's a freeform show. So Freeform was formerly like ABC Family at one point. So there's a certain line in terms of like there's always I think with shows like this, it's always like, would it be better if it was on HBO? You know,
Mm.
would it be better if it was on a more adult network? And I think to a point it would be. Um, but it's not bad. I actually am enjoying it. I'm almost done with the first season. I'm like 21 episodes. No, I'm like 16 episodes into the first season. I started watching it like 2 or 3 days ago. It's just constantly was popping up in my, HBO in my Max, like, recommended viewing. It just kept showing up there, and I said this a few minutes ago, how, like, I watch things generally based on recognition of actors that are in it, and so Lucy Hale, Dante, who you would know from Which Brings Me to You,
Okay.
um, the lead actress in that, I've always known she was in it, and I've liked her in a lot of other movies that I've seen her in, so knowing that she was in it has always been like, "Hey, maybe I should check that out." Here's the crazy thing, because you know I said I'm gonna watch Euphoria, but I have a show that has a lot, like, that I have to make it through? Guess how
Yeah.
many episodes this show has?
That's actually what I was just starting to look into. How many?
160.
Yep. 7 seasons, huh?
160 episodes. I'm like, "What the fuck did I sign myself up for here? That is a lot to watch."
You
And the
know what's
problem is,
crazy is as
dude,
you started talking about it, I was like, huh, that sounds like something I might watch. And now knowing it's that many, no.
here's the thing, dude, I'm a sicko, and I watch, like, 10 episodes a day.
Oh yeah, you're gonna bang that out in like a week.
You'll hear me talking about season 4 next week, assuming it keeps my interest, because here's the thing, I'm like, first of all, I was so when I saw that the first season was 22 episodes, I was like, "Oh my god, that's so much." Like, I wanted, because I just wanna know who's sending these fucking text messages, and I don't even know if I'm gonna get the answer.
I gotta
Like,
see
do
if
I have to
somebody
go,
does like a series of just like give me the whole thing in like an abridged version. Cut out all the bullshit.
dude, if I have to go 160 episodes to figure out who's sending these text messages, I don't know
No
what I'll do.
way that goes until the end of the fucking show.
Well, what other things could they spin this show off to? Like, my thing is, I feel like they have to give you a definitive answer because they probably didn't know they were gonna get a second season, right? So you have to get some type of a definitive finish to this season, and maybe it opens up a new mystery for the next season. Um, but 160?
Huh.
How are we doing 7 seasons? These girls never learn to not lie. They just They just lie constantly. They lie about everything. They lie about shit that they could just be like, "I'm gonna tell the truth," and, like, it might hurt somebody's feelings, but at the end of the day, like, they just don't learn. Like, the whole reason that they're in the situation that they're in, and then, like, the girl who died, her whole thing was, like, she lied about everything. She
Yeah.
thought that, like, lies made things more interesting, so she would just lie basically about everything. Um, but it's like they've not learned from any of this. There's no growth from any of that. There's also one really suspect relationship that they're making out to be like a normal thing, but Lucy Hale's character is dating one of her teachers through the whole first season, and he's
Were
like a
they
new
in like
teacher and
high school?
doesn't. Yeah, but she's only like 16.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
weird.
not like this thing where she's like a senior and she's 18 years old and is dating a teacher. Like she's 16 and he's like they haven't said his age. So but either way, I'd have to interpret that he's minimum 19, 20, and he's like in there like nobody knows it's a secret, but he is like, yeah, in the eyes of the public, this is wrong. It's like, well, no, just like
Odds of the
in
law.
general, I think it's probably wrong, and nobody's like, I don't know. That's the only thing that I'm like watching, and I'm like, this is like somewhat off putting. Is why is this like 20, 21-year-old dude dating this like 16-year-old girl in this show?
Yeah, wow.
So I'll keep you guys posted. I know that this is what you're probably now that you heard, you're like, oh my god, he's listening to Pretty Little Liars, or he's watching Pretty Little Liars. Like, I need to know how he thinks about it. Like, what is he? Like I'm
Now you
sure.
gotta finish it for the people.
Yeah, like I'm sure the people are going to be wondering week after week where I'm at with this. So I'll keep you posted and updated on how I'm doing with it. I Because of something like this, and because I am a psycho, generally my goal is to get through it as fast as possible. So there's going to be quite a few like up until 5 a.m. just like burning through episodes on the show.
Jesus Christ.
I'll be done with season one today,
No,
and
you won't.
I started watching it on probably like Saturday,
Okay.
Friday or Saturday. So you don't think I'll be done with? I have 5 episodes left in this season, dude. I'll be done today.
What are they? Hour long?
45, 45
Oh,
minutes.
yeah.
I mean, because I'm not saying that like, okay, by today, I mean before I fall asleep. So it might be 5 a.m. tomorrow, but I will be done with it.
Okay.
Guarantee it. Hey, one other thing, and this is like this is not our typical taste test. But I bought a new video game controller.
Oh, you got the scuff controller.
Yeah, I bought a Scuff. Um,
Huh.
I think I'm gonna return it.
Really? Not a fan.
It's mostly I like the size so much more on a PS4 controller than I like this. And like I played for a few
I've
hours. I
been used
played
to
like
an Xbox controller, so that's where I've been considering it.
yeah, yeah, like PS4 controller is just a bit smaller and like the buttons feel a little bit different on the back. Like I don't like the back buttons as much on this. And I do understand that like part of it's like you just have to grind through the part of it not liking it and your hands will kind of start getting used to where things
Yeah.
are. But it just like the other part is the aim is so much more precise, it feels like with this controller that like I was just missing shots. Like I would like hit the joystick and go past like when I was doing like
Oh, I
closer
get you.
range fights. Like I just wasn't like I'm not as used to the sticks on it. So I played for like 2 hours with that controller and was just like I'm playing worse than I normally play, and I was frustrated. So I just switched back to the PS4 controller.
You gotta give it a chance. That always
Yeah,
happens with a new controller.
yeah. I don't know. I just don't know if it's like the same hesitancy I had the whole time. Like I also don't need all those buttons. Like I mapped out the buttons and I'm like it's cool because it has these two on the side here. It has a side button that's
Oh,
mappable on each side. So you have the two bumpers and then you actually have two buttons on the side
I
that you
feel like
can map.
those wouldn't be natural to hit though.
It kind of is because you just push down like
Mm.
with your index on it. So like for me, it was like I usually mark with my back button
Yeah,
instead of the D-pad. So I was trying to move my mark to that button. Um, and then I was moving slide to like one of my back paddles.
gotcha. Yeah,
But
for
it's I
me,
don't
I
know,
have jump and
it's
slide on
weird.
my back pedals, and then I have armor plates and marking on the other two. 'Cause I have four
Yeah,
back pedals.
yeah, I really just use my back buttons for my armor plates.
Hmm.
Primarily what I use them for.
But that's also because you use a weird button mapping.
Well, what do you mean?
You don't do like the default layout.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like how I use bumper jumper, so my jump is my left bumper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't need to have my back button. I don't need 4 back buttons because I'm already adjusted to a different layout.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll keep that's another one. I don't know, I might give it one more week. I literally just bought it yesterday. So, um
Give it another week, you'll get used to it, but there still may be things you end up not liking about it.
Yeah, I think I'm just content with my PS4 controller.
Hmm.
Okay. And I think that that is all, correct? Got nothing else?
No.
All right, everybody. Well, let us know what you've been watching out there. Give us your taste test for the week. Let us know if any of the news you have any thing to add on any of the news. What'd you think of the new Ghostbuster movie or Arthur the King or Immaculate if you've seen them as well? Let me know if I should go out of my way to see that. I did. I respect the director for saying like I'm not going to be one of the ones that puts Sydney Sweeney naked in my movie. That's good for them.
Eh.
Uh, but if she says it's okay, just let it happen.
You talking
Uh,
about the director for Immaculate?
yeah, yeah.
There's
He
like
said he didn't.
there's like some see-through shit.
Yeah, he said he didn't wanna be one of the ones that's, like, just putting Sydney Sweeney out there in his movie. I bought Anyone But You for $10, by the way, just wanna throw that out there really quick.
Oh, Voodoo
Was it
purchase?
Yeah, it was on sale. I couldn't wait. Yeah, and, let us know if there's anything else we should be watching. Should I, keep watching Pretty Little Liars? Should I move on to Euphoria? Like, comment, share, subscribe. You can find us on anywhere audio podcasts are provided, right here on YouTube. We are toying with the idea of starting to go live for this every week. So, also maybe if you're this far into it, let us know on that what you think. Would you be interested? I think either way we're going to do it, but I'd still be interested to hear what your thoughts might be on it. Um, Check us out on Instagram at For Those of Good Taste, on Twitter at Good Taste Live, and on TikTok at FTWGT. You can see Dante's name right behind him to the right of his beautifully shaped head. Um, uh, this Ninja Turtle looking motherfucker. Um,
Oh,
you
you
can check him out
motherfucker.
right there. Yeah. And yeah, he will still put that brick in your face. So just be ready for that. Until next week, though, ladies, gentlemen, tasties, tastettes, we are out. Peace. We love you. Bang, bang,
Ski ski.
choo, choo, train.
For those with good taste.